Good evening. I am Akool, astrological author, analyst, researcher, and philosopher. Today I have taken an interesting topic for astrological discussion. The title of the topic is Obstacles in Life and Remedies. It is an academic exercise. Obstacles often act to dampen the spirit and demotivate a person unless he has a burning desire for something. We at times experienced that we had to strain our every nerve. In Hindi, एड़ी चोटी क्या जोर लगाना for the fulfillment of an objective. People often visit astrologers when they face obstacles in a particular area of their life in frustration. Obstacles may or may not deny a particular objective of life, like timely marriage, timely job, timely childbirth, etc., but definitely give frustration and desperation. Obstacles give a sense of denial and become a nagging problem over time, particularly when a person fails in achieving something even after repeated attempts. Now, the moot question arises: how to astrologically spot and predict obstacles in a particular area of somebody's life and suggest remedies for overcoming the obstacles by the natives. Please listen carefully. I am explaining the research parameter. The 10th house of the birth chart is your overall karma, meaning action, which meets with obstacles in the 3rd house, being the 6th house of struggles from the 10th house of overall karma or action. You initiated an action to reach a particular objective through your 10th house of action or karma, which will first meet with obstacles in the 3rd house. The 3rd house is the 6th house of struggles from the 10th house. If there is a natural malefic in the 3rd house, particularly Saturn or Ketu, the obstacles will be more accentuated and pronounced if the natural malefic is retrograde. It is now entirely on the strength of your 10th house and the 10th Lord how they mitigate the obstacles or problems. The above astrological parameters can be applied to the divisional charts like the Navamsha, D9 for marriage, Dashamsha, D10 for profession, Saptamsha, D7 for children, and Chaturthamsha, D4 for property. These astrological parameters can also be applied to the Mahadasha by making the placement of the Mahadasha Lord in the horoscope as the Lagna and rotate the horoscope. Astrological remedies for the 10th house and the 10th Lord may not always be possible if the 10th Lord is a natural enemy of your Lagna Lord. In such a situation, case-specific remedies must be suggested after analyzing the horoscope in detail. I am not going to bungle this astrological discussion and close it abruptly without demonstrating my research on the horoscopes, because I am not like most others who are busy buying cheap popularity in social media forums like YouTube for monetization. Let us apply these research parameters to a few horoscopes of well-known personalities in my favorite South India style horoscope. Horoscope of Srimati Indira Gandhi. It is in front of all of you. I will first narrate, then explain the things in the horoscope. In a horoscope, the 10th house of overall karma or action is Aries. From Aries, the 6th house of struggles and obstacles is Virga, which is also the 3rd house from the Lagna. Malefic Saturn aspects Virgo through its 3rd aspect, 90-degree aspects, indicating that our overall action will meet with obstacles. But Jupiter's 5th aspect, 150-degree aspect on Virga, is a more powerful near aspect than Saturn's 90-degree aspect. As such, her overall action in life met with few obstacles. It is her horoscope. It is her horoscope. Lagna is Cancer, so the 10th house is Aries. From 10th house, the 6th house is Virga, which is the 3rd house from the Lagna. Saturn, a malefic planet, natural malefic planet, has been aspecting Virga, indicating that there would be struggle in front of our professional achievement. There will be struggle in front of our karma, actions, whatever action, because 10th house is the house of action, and her action will meet with problem, obstacles by Saturn due to the 3rd aspect of Saturn, which is 90-degree aspect. But Jupiter also aspects Virga, which is 3rd house from the Lagna and 6th house of obstacles, and the 6th house of obstacles from the 10th house of karma, action. Your action will meet with problem, but due to Jupiter 150-degree aspect, these obstacles would be checked to some extent, since Jupiter is a natural benefic planet. So, whatever action she will take, action means karma. Action means your karma. Your karma is going to meet with obstacle due to a malefic influence on the 3rd house from your natal lagna, which is as the 6th house of obstacles from the 10th house of overall action or karma. Dashamsha horoscope of Srimati Indira Gandhi. It is in front of you. I will first narrate and then show on the horoscope. Dosha-based obstacles in a particular area of life. Now I am going to explain about the dosha-based obstacles in a particular area of life. During Saturn Mahadasha, the native face obstacles and struggles in her professional career, March 1977 to January 1980. From Mahadasha Lord Saturn, the 10th house is Cancer. Saturn and Jupiter aspect the 3rd house of Sagittarius, which is the 6th house of professional struggles and obstacles from the 10th house of Cancer. Jupiter's aspects ameliorated the condition, while Saturn's aspects gave obstacles. She got the political power back into her hands after a brief spell of 3 years. He was without any political power for 3 years during Saturn Mahadasha from March 1977 to January 1980, when she was not the Prime Minister. It is the Dashamsha horoscope of Srimati Indira Gandhi. Saturn is the Mahadasha Lord. We will make Saturn as the Lagna. From Mahadasha Lord Saturn, the 10th house of action or karma is the sign Cancer. From Cancer, the 6th house is Sagittarius, which is the 3rd house from Saturn, whom we have made Lagna. His placement we have made Lagna because the obstacles came during Saturn Mahadasha. Saturn has been aspecting the 3rd house from the Saturn, and Jupiter, a natural benefic, also aspecting the 3rd house from Saturn, and 10th house and 6th house from the 10th house of Cancer. That is why during a short spell of 3 years she was out of power. After 3 years it was restored in 1980 January because of the Jupiter aspect on the 3rd house from the Mahadasha Lord Saturn, which is the 6th house from the 10th house Cancer from the Mahadasha Lord Saturn. Horoscope of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee Ji. It is his horoscope. Horoscope of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee Ji. I will first narrate and then show whatever I have narrated on the horoscopes. With Scorpio Lagna, see it is Scorpio Lagna. With Scorpio Lagna horoscope, the 10th house of action or overall karma is Leo. The 3rd house is the 6th house of obstacles and struggles from the 10th house of overall karma. Is occupied by Ketu, indicating that he met with several obstacles in implementing his actions. However, the 10th house is strong. Since the 10th Lord, the Sun, is associated with two natural benefic planets. It is the horoscope of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee Ji. The 10th Scorpio is the Lagna, so the 10th house of action or karma is the Leo. Look at my cursor. Is the Leo, and Sun is the Lord. Sun is with two natural benefic, Jupiter and Mercury. The third house from Lagna is occupied by the natural malefic Ketu, which is the 6th house from the 10th house of Leo. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is the 6th house of obstacles from the 10th house of Leo. So he faced obstacles in his actions in his actions and karma, in implementation of his actions and karma. He faced obstacles due to Ketu. During Moon Mahadasha, he became the Prime Minister and remained in power for nearly a fortnight, means 13 days. As malefic, Ketu is in the 3rd house, the 6th house of obstacles from the 10th house of karma, from the MDL Moon in Scorpio. See, look, Moon is in Scorpio, so the 10th house is Leo. Same situation I have already explained. From Mahadasha Lord Moon, the 10th house is Leo, and Sun is the 10th Lord, who is with two benefics. I have already explained. But notice, from Mahadasha Lord, the 10th house Leo has Ketu in the 6th house of obstacles. So his actions of karma or karma met with obstacles by the Ketu. Ketu gave obstacles and he could not overcome the same, and his government had fallen in a period of 13 days. During March Mahadasha, he remained as the Prime Minister from March 1998 to May 2004. From MDL Mars in Pisces, the 10th house of his actions of karma is Sagittarius, and the 3rd house is Taurus, the 6th house of struggles from the 10th house of karma, aspected by two natural benefic planets, Venus and the Moon, without any malefic intervention. His government survived for a longer period from 1998 to May 2004. Look at the horoscope. Now we will make Mars, placement of Mars as the Lagna. We will make placement of Mars, the Mahadasha Lord, as the Lagna. From Mahadasha Lord Mars in Pisces, the 10th house is Sagittarius, and the 10th house is quite strong because Jupiter, the 10th Lord, is in the 10th house with the natal 10th Lord, Sun and Mercury, a benefic planet. From Mahadasha Lord Mars, the 3rd house is Taurus, which is the 6th house from the 10th house of Sagittarius. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the house of obstacles in front of his karma and action. But this house is auspicious because it is aspected by Venus and Moon. Both are natural benefic, and there is no malefic intervention of natural malefic planet on his third house from the Mahadasha Lord Mars in Pisces, and sixth house from the Mahadasha Lord, and sixth house from the 10th house Sagittarius. It is the 10th house from the Mahadasha Lord Sagittarius, and 6th house of obstacles is Taurus, which is aspected by two natural benefic planets. So his government survived because there was not much obstacles. From 1998 to 2004, if you count 98, it will be almost 6 years. Almost 6 years. In two spells. He talks in two spells. Once for 13 months and another for consecutive period of 4 years. So it was 6 years together, consecutive. Navamsha horoscope of Shri Atal Ji. She was unmarried, you all know. Shri Atal Ji was unmarried. First I will narrate, then I will show the horoscope. In his Navamsha, the 9 of spouse, the 10th house of marriage related karma or action is Libra. The third house of Pisces, which is the 6th house of obstacles of the 10th house of marriage related action, is occupied by natural malefic Saturn and aspected by another natural malefic Mars. As such, whatever his marriage related actions, the 10th house of the D9 signifies, were taken, these were met with strong obstacles due to Saturn in the third house, which is the 6th house of struggles and obstacles from the 10th house of marriage related activities initiated from the 10th house of his Navamsha. Navamsha Lagna is Capricorn, so the 10th house of action or karma of the Navamsha is Libra, and Venus is the Lord. Venus is debilitated, but debilitation is cancelled because it is with Mercury, which is the debilitation sign, Lord of Venus. But Venus is with Mars also and expected by Saturn, so it is not that strong. Leave it. It is the 10th house of action. From third house, from Lagna, the third house has Saturn, which is the 6th house of obstacles from the 10th house of Libra, where the action related to his marriage were taken, but these met with obstacles due to Saturn in the 6th house and aspected by Mars. Two strong natural malefics. Two strong natural malefics. So he was denied marriage. He faced obstacles in his marriage. Moreover, the 5th house of Navamsha is the 8th house of denial of marriage from the 10th house of marriage related activities initiated from the 10th house aspected by Saturn, resulting in complete denial of marriage to him. See, it is the 10th house. Here the marriage related action were initiated by him or anybody on his behalf. Isn't it? From here the 8th house is Taurus aspected by Saturn. Aspected by Saturn. So it is not only 8th house from the 10th house, it is also the 5th house from the Lagna, which is always the 8th house from the 10th house of actions. So it was completely denied. All action initiated in the 10th house of marriage related actions, karma initiated from the 10th house were denied by Saturn by his third aspect on the 8th house from the 10th house of karma. So the summary learned is that wherever you will find affliction to the third house of Navamsha, you can predict that there are obstacles in marriage. In addition, if there are afflictions in the 5th house of the Navamsha, you can predict that there is a yoga of denial of marriage of the native. For confirmation, you can use the Saptamsha for children also, because Saptamsha shows the legal children from the legal wedlock. It is the Saptamsha horoscope of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee Ji. See, in his Saptamsha D7, the third house is afflicted by Mars and the 5th house is in Pap Kartari, which is a clear case of denial of progeny out of a socially recognized wedlock, out of a socially recognized wedlock. What is the 10th house? What is the 10th house of his Saptamsha chart? Here it is the Saptamsha chart. It is the 10th house is Gemini, and it is occupied by Ketu, and the 10th house of it is here the action related for getting progeny out of a socially recognized marriage was initiated, but this met with obstacle in the 6th house from the 10th house of Aries due to a strong Mars in the 6th house from the 10th house of action. Besides, Saturn also aspects the 6th house. So 6th house of obstacles of getting progeny is highly afflicted. So first we saw that he doesn't have the yoga for marriage, and second we have seen that there is denial, obstacles of children in his Saptamsha chart, and it is the 8th house from the 10th house. From the 10th house of progeny related action, the 8th house of denial is Capricorn, which is in Pap Kartari between Saturn and Ketu, and Jupiter is in the 5th house. Is in the 5th house is true, or in the 8th house from the 10th house is true. He is a Putra Karaka, but there is an astrological rule that Karaka Bhavana Shayo. It is when a Karaka planet In the Karaka house, it denies the Karaka result. We can now realize how easy and interesting it is to learn astrology from a competent astrological teacher. Thanks. Best wishes. I am Akool, astrological teacher, analyst, researcher and philosopher. My WhatsApp number is 9818158569. Thanks for your patience and watching the video. Have a nice day.